guys, it's Ben here from Second Dynasty. Hopefully you're hearing me all right. We have had a few technical issues where I thought maybe the microphone might be affected. Albin is busy picking up a print, so he's going to make a ruckus behind me. But say hello, Albin.
Hello, Albin.
There you go. He's learnt from the best. I'm Ben from Second Dynasty. If you haven't been with us before, I make 3D printable terrain and spaceships. Over the last 5 years, we've been putting out a bunch of Kickstarters, including the two most recent ones, which are focused on official Traveller role-playing game licenses, both for a 1 to 60 scale Type S Scout Courier, which is like a full-scale starship detailed inside and out, to Starship miniatures in tactical and 1 to 270 scale. That's about the same scale as the X-Wing tabletop game, if you're unfamiliar with the scales. But way back in the beginning, we did our first Kickstarter, Starship 1, or just Starship as it was called, where we did some very basic tabletop tiles using the OpenLog system. Now we are focusing on the newest iteration of this. We're calling it Starship the Next Generation, for a mini campaign that will be going live on My Mini Factory crowdfunding, which is rebranding shortly, towards the end of April. So we're very close to April now. We're probably only about 3 weeks away from launch. Still a lot to do on the modeling side of things, but the test printing is going well, and we will look at that shortly. And what we're actually going to focus on today is building out this piece of machinery. As you can kind of see, if I turn the lights off, it's not really fixed. Usually what we do is take about an hour when we live stream to go over some files in Autodesk Maya, which is the software we choose to work with. Yeah, there's let's get stuck into it. Maybe we have some questions first. Some shout outs.
There seems to be... Oh,
Hey, Zorimer is on. Been a while, buddy. And then insert 80s Lego astronaut with spaceship. Yeah. Totally glitch. Awesome. Yes, Zorimer does light kits for the ships, and we have some new stuff that we'll be working on in the future, hopefully. So yeah, our next mini campaign that we're doing in between this and the Beowulf, which is our next 28mm scale ship, which is well underway. We have the first half of the ship printed. It's actually on the shelves behind me. I guess I could grab that. Yeah, she's getting heavy. Let me switch to the close-up camera, or rather just full screen camera. So yeah, here's the front of the ship. You can kind of see it's going to be a weighty, heavy lady. You can kind of just see, and I've never gotten used to this. You can see into the cockpit there. You can take the deck A off there, and you can kind of see into the bridge. There's no chairs in place at the moment. But yeah, it's well into the prototyping. But to do this right, we have to do it over a long period of time. In fact, full release won't be until August earliest, probably looking closer to September. That'll let us have a summer break and everything, and also get it off to be reviewed and test printed, and hopefully, you know, we can do all the things that we never can during standard campaigns. So yeah, I'm hoping for a couple of different opportunities to add in some lighting, particularly in the bridge ceiling. I think would look good, because that's and in the crew commons. But yes, we're not focusing on that today. Today we are focusing on these new tiles, and I will dislodge the camera. My head. And we will look.
We got a comment that was kind of funny, I think. JTS said, gotta start stockpiling filament for that now.
Yes.
And Pulse Fire Gaming, is that Pulsifier?
That's Pulsifier, yeah.
said he was excited about the revised Starship tiles and he's wondering if he should reprint the floors in his Alien RPG board before hosting games in it.
Possibly. So there are a couple of new features and we're going to go over them. I'm just going to stick the camera down momentarily so I can go grab something. There we go. That's nice and focused on the hallway. As you can kind of see, this is a very loose test print and it looks horrible for a reason. That being that I wanted to try putting ironing on, which was a mistake. So you can kind of see, let's see if I can get something to point this out. You can kind of see here that this isn't really joining the way we would want it to. But the fact that there's a join there at all is a new thing. In fact, if we take this off, this is the new concept. That we actually have the bases with the top section separate. This is so that this can all print upside down and we can take advantage of mostly non-support printing. So this also opens things up so that we can more easily, I'm not saying that we should, but that you can more easily print on an SLA printer. Obviously the details we have in this thing are going to come up a lot better. So a lot of this like horrible looking joint is due to the fact that I put on the ironing on the top, so it did mess up with the top surfaces. I won't be doing that again. But you can kind of see we've got a lot of new detail in on the floors. If we look at the old style, oh, microphone fell over. Sorry about that, guys. This is painted, of course, and it's harder to make out, but this is the old style tiles. Mind you, not for engineering, but these are the Starship 2 engineering walls. So you can kind of see how simplistic these are in comparison. Oh, this camera is really hard to get to autofocus. And then you can kind of see the new detail that we've got in here. Let's just pop that down there. So of course we will do exports where the walls are included as well, but you can see that there's a lot more detail in the piping. Things are a little bit more slender. We've got that kind of like fidelity. Come on, don't focus on my dirty keyboard. Oh, I really need to get a better camera. And you can see it in scale with our 28mm miniatures. So the floors now print on their sides, and you'll notice that they have the standard open look ports, but because they print on the side, you don't need these built-in supports, right? I've only ever removed the supports when I needed to get a clip in. These are a nuisance on FDM printers. They're even more of a nuisance on SLA printers. So part of this has been about eliminating that, but also if we halve these walls and you put them on your build plate, then you will print not twice as fast, but it is significantly quicker to print. So this is kind of like the non-optimized version of things. We're going to have a look at Maya and see what it looks like in just a sec. When I've tangled myself. Yay!
Totally glitch. That's Shadow Liger, I think.
Yeah.
He said he really liked the mix of digital and print for today's video. That was very cheeky.
Well, I mean, we do need to show what the merchandise is like in the end, right? And again, we can get a lot better quality than what we have on these more or less stock Prusa settings. They're not quite stock. There is a template and some slicer settings that actually that Zorima did for us. So they're over on his Patreon for free. If you want to check that out, I'm sure he'll do some new profiles soon, since there has been some updates to Prusa Slicer recently to 2.4. And I believe Kira got one as well. We're also doing this in 3MF. So if I do open Prusa Slicer, a 3MF scene is what Prusa Slicer actually uses to save the printing scene. So if I open my latest one, oh god, where was it? It'll be in the Ben folder, won't it? Yes. So this is the print I did last night with a couple of small changes. So you can kind of see the print orientations here. We're taking advantage of printing these floor pieces on their sides. They do take longer that way. Oh, we do have a... No, it's just a shape. We've invented a few new systems to take care of the corner systems on the open lock. The corners really don't work very well, so if I take these two groups now and isolate them, whereas before they had a clip hole here and a clip hole there, so you would have to have the full walls there, but that would mean that you could only clip into one side. So now we use the sliding clips, which we've used in the Starfighter pack, and that's worked very well, like you saw it implemented already. So you can kind of see we're going back, adding brand new fidelity, and this, for anyone that's been hanging with us week after week, you already know about this, so I'm not gonna go on about it too much longer. We're gonna get to fixing some of the pipes. So this new, I would call it a Kickstarter, but it's on MMF. We're launching soon. It'll just be like this kind of reimagining of the engineering tiles from Starship 1 plus the corridor and base tiles from Starship 1. So nothing complicated. We will probably have stretch goals. We will have stretch goals where we'll probably revisit some of the horrible looking stretch goals we have for Starship 1 as well. Basically bringing it up to our current state. And you can kind of see like we've made it so that the pipes actually go onto the floor here and go around the doorway. This is still a kind of older style. The pipes just disappear, right? But instead we'll probably change this so that the pipe just goes up there. Or we'll do something similar. But these are slightly different. A slightly different style of pipes. You can kind of see too that we don't have the these handles in yet. So I'll just move a copy of these over for effect. So the idea is that we'll be able to customize these quite a bit. So you could have different kinds of handles. You could have them without the handles if you want a more Star Warsy look. These plates in here can all be swapped out. Like I'm probably going to do a version of this with a radio intercom. We've just added some features like some built-in lighting. Now this isn't actual lighting, but there is actually cavities inside the walls that if we had the right measurements, you could potentially get some of these like string lights. Now that we have Zorima here, I'll show it off. And let's see, close up. So this is just one of the earlier kits I got sent with like a daisy chain of tiny little lights, which I was just lighting up the new version of the shuttle with. New version of the shuttle. That will be coming probably May, June sometime in a similar sort of circumstance. So we need to light up these engines in a future version. So I am thinking about that for the future. So there is potentially some room behind some of the walls to do more stuff. And we built these in such a modular way that we're not going to be sacrificing too much to do it. But these still do need like some forethought, I guess. But because we're doing the wall split in half too, we could potentially do just like, let's see, we add a channel that's just underneath here somewhere so that you could potentially feed the lighting up through the channel. So there are some more possibilities doing things this way. All right, so let's... Yeah, no, go.
Oh, we got a comment here that the pipe access panel looks really good. Could be an objective to reach and interact with in game. And totally glitch wonder, is the hanger files getting some love?
Not this round. We might revisit the hanger if this campaign is successful. Basically, most of you guys are regulars. You already know that we do pretty big projects and we need to think about the liquidity in the company. So this is kind of a like fairly quick way we can get out some new products but justify doing them as well. So like it's one of those things where it's enough work that we wouldn't just do it because it takes too much time, but we can do it in quite a quick amount of time. So like Albin's been on this for what, a month, and I've been on it for what, a week and a half, 2 weeks. So it's a pretty quick turnover. I'm still technically supposed to be working on the Beowulf. I haven't got to it this week yet, but there's still one day left. So yeah, I just basically wanted to test print all of this. We've also had a bit of downtime where Albin was repairing our second Prusa, so that should be up and running now. Or rather, it is up and running now. Woohoo! And that was an interesting thing, trying to get the spare parts and getting our funds frozen in Russia for some god known reason. But yeah, it's all done now, it's all sorted. So the idea being here that right now we have, this is some kind of like, I don't know exactly, purifier or some pressure measurement or something like that. So it feeds down the pipes into something and then, gets them going the next way. So the idea being that we could mirror this top part down to the bottom so the pipes go up or down. But we want to make it sort of like, so that this looks like it's a natural continuation of these sort of standard, let's move Gunther here. What? That's his name?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about Slingshot channel as well.
He's not called Gunther, is he?
No, he's not called Gunther.
Yeah, Georg or something like that. George, basically. So yeah, we have the standard sort of base here from the old style. You can kind of see this has been updated a little bit to have a bit more fidelity. I don't know if I'm completely finished with it or not yet, but that's what I test printed last night. And again, the older style, if we open up the ye olde tile layer, you can see it's a lot simpler. There's a lot of artifacts here that will lead to failed prints. But this is okay. So this is the old style thingamabob that's sticking out. You can kind of see the rack is very thick with the handles. And then we have this version, so it is a little bit daintier, a little bit more to scale, and hopefully interesting. So we're planning to switch out the panels here so you can have lots of options as mentioned. You could choose to have the lights there or not. And eventually what we'll be providing is some sort of 3MF file here where it retains the information. So we're just trying to figure out how to get the export working properly from Maya. But ultimately you could possibly do something small, like, for example, just move the light up or down a little bit if you don't like its position, and it could print that way. So say, for example, if you want the light to just be peeking out the top here, you'll be able to do that with a 3MF file of the wall, because those individual components will be separate. Essentially, if we get, okay, so you can see here that we haven't got these. The bottom here is a solid object. That's how we would normally do a tile. But if you look at the top section, it's just individual objects that live in a group. And all those objects are supposed to have their pivot point down in the corner, and that's what allows, that's what it basically allows. Okay, why is that not in the corner? I'm distracting myself here. Are people asking questions? I see the chat moving.
Yeah, they were saying that the MMF Quick Start campaign they need to make sure that it's successful so they can get the hanger files and get them some love.
That's right, and also to get this bad boy. So actually, no, we're gonna do that anyway. I think I honestly, we're not looking to make a gazillion bucks. Like if we make a quarter of what we usually make or something like that, that's enough to justify us trying it again. Okay.
Yeah, and it apparently, according to Total Bitch, also allows
Total Bitch.
Totally.
You total glitch, not total bitch.
No, not bitch. I try to say glitch at least, but
I heard
it
bitch.
will allow you to keep Albin and the puppy fed. And then we got
Yes,
another
Albin and the
comment.
puppy can be fed. Wait, are you talking about Bailey or some other
Yeah, I
puppy?
think so.
All right.
Hyperspeed Luke said, "This will be the first Second Dynasty project I back."
Oh, nice, a new backer. That's nice to see.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, well, that's kind of like a part of the theory too, because we started on Kickstarter 5 years ago. A lot of people didn't have printers then, and although we've had this stuff in, as add-ons to our previous Kickstarter campaigns, like if you want to pledge levels that were like all our back catalog, they kind of existed. But it's a lot of money up front, and here we're talking about $50 if you haven't had these style of tiles before. And we're talking probably close to, I don't want to count it all out yet, but I'd say it'd be around about at least less than $1 per tile. And then, it's a lot cheaper than adding everything on otherwise. Damn, I thought I did these pieces already. Huh. Oh well, no matter. What?
Totally glitch said, "I am a total glitch."
Yeah. Not really. But awesome that you're considering supporting us. I'm really happy, and every euro we get in is another 5 minutes we can run. Also, I don't know exactly how expensive things are, but running a company in Sweden it's not cheap. But we've made it work for like four of the 5 years we've been running. We've been doing this exclusively, so that says something, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna add in a tiny little bit of extra detail here. So we put a handle on the side. We're eventually gonna mirror this all. I just want to make this feel like there's a natural flow. So I was thinking of actually splitting this here. So what I might do is just take this and we're going to separate it. Detach, sorry. So what this should do is if I click on this in the future, oh, that didn't work, did it? Or did it? Yes, it did. So each and every edge now is basically separated there. So I'm just gonna come in and I'm gonna merge these again. And then I'm just gonna grab this, and this and that. And I'm gonna merge these ones again.
So we got a comment concerning the traveler license.
Yes.
Is there a chance that you will produce small craft and vehicles for traveler? At 28mm, we have a large need for traveler-specific ships, boats and ATVs versus larger ship deck plans. This was from the Dalton Calford.
The idea with Traveller is, again, the Beowulf is sort of like the big, grandiose proof of the pudding sort of thing. The smaller vehicles could make sense. They don't take as long to make. We are changing our crowdfunding tactics so that we're going to be less focused on getting stretch goals out and more focused on just having a viable product. That doesn't mean there won't be stretch goals. It'll just for example, when we run the Beowulf, we'll probably set the starting goal at like half of what we expect to get in. So say it might be €30,000 or something like that. Because apparently 2 people on Kickstarter don't necessarily feel, from the feedback that we've got, they don't necessarily feel like they're making the project happen if it's already financed from day one, which has always been the case with our projects, thanks to you guys. I don't want that to sound ungrateful in any way, but it also, part of the trap that we're in at the moment is we just end up with this, 3 months after a campaign where we're delivering stretch goals instead of being able to move on to the next project. So it does become an issue sometimes. Not as much lately, because we've been better at planning and having slightly fewer stretch goals. We wouldn't have had anywhere near as many of the ones that we did for our last campaign if it wasn't for the fact that Ian already had modeled all of those ships. And even so, like, are we finished? No, we're waiting on the Type J from. Okay, that'll be next week because John is on holidays this week.
Yeah.
So
I think we got a comment from Peter earlier as well. So it might be coming up this week.
You mean the Pinnace?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Pinnace is not the last ship. The Type J is in our style. So let's see. So we're only just about delivered with that one. Oh, I do have. Can I show this?
Do you want me to grab the winglet thing?
No. I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking to myself. No. I've been in touch with Papsicles and our.
The miniatures.
Yes. Let's see if I can bring this up. Copy image. Save image. Let's save that in downloads, and then if we go into downloads and go to the image, there we go. So those of you that were with us for the the first Traveller stretch goal might remember that there was actually a pledge level, which was absolutely everything. It was like $450. That also included a sculpt by Papsicles for a new crew member. So one of our Archdukes has finally gotten in touch. Papsicles was also available, and this model is very close to being finished. We have recently been in touch with the other Archduke. There were 2 total. We've now since closed that pledge level because the actual pledge level cost us more than it was worth. It was sort of like a promotional thing. But yeah, these will be coming to the Traveller 1 miniatures. So basically a new crew member, you could say. The miniature shown here, though, is in, I think, 32 or 35 millimeters, so it will be scaled down to 28 millimeters by the end of things. But that is coming soon. Yes.
So the Dalton Calford commented that he would pay for vehicles on their own, not needing a Kickstarter or a stretch goal. And standalone products sold one at a time, not needing a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and the issue for me is the fact that we don't have a great way to market our products. We have organic sales on my mini factory, and it has gotten to a point where it's a couple of $1,000 a month, but it's not enough by itself to justify. Like some conversions are quick, others are not. It's a complicated question. I think it could work, but it's also a case of getting approval from Mark for separate items. Mark Miller, the Traveller license holder. So all of our stuff is subject to his approval. And then on top of that, we have I'm not saying that that's in particular too difficult, but I kind of need to see that there's more than one person interested in it before it goes live. And usually, Kickstarter's been the way to do things. Now, this MMF thing, if it works out, that justifies a little bit more doing these sort of shorter, smaller campaigns where a vehicles pack could be of interest. Or that we do some kind of collaboration with Papsicles or someone else to like Kayoshinenko or Flavored Pickle to make additional products on our behalf for the Traveller universe. But we're kind of going to get to the point where it's viable, and Traveller right now, it's done pretty great, or it looks to have done pretty great. What is publicly available? Is it the fact that we're not reaching everyone we need to market to? Is it just the simple fact that the Traveller fans, for the most part, don't have 3D printers? I don't know, but I would say at the moment, Traveller is like scraping by, but it hasn't been a cash cow for us, you might say. Like, we're definitely getting by, but we're not growing with it. So the Beowulf is going to represent whether or not we're going to long term, like we have the license until 2024, the end of 2024, I believe. And I don't think that Mark would have an issue extending that if there's still an interest. But it has to work for us. And, vehicles might be the way to go. But we need to be in a position where we can take risks. And right now, our company is not in a position where we can take risks. We know this is a fairly sure thing because we know that it's going to appeal to past backers and new backers. We're tapping a proven product, right? That's just improved and gives you more options. Where is my yellow at? There we go. No, we want dark yellow. If that makes any sense. So the other thing too, it all depends on like how the reference materials. So being a Traveller fan, Dalton, you will have noticed that there is a great variance in the aesthetics of Traveller items from different editions and versions. We are mostly stuck with the T5 stuff. And I mean, no offense to the artist, but the T5 stuff tends to be a combination of very budget art, I guess, or past art that's been recycled from the 70s or 80s. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I don't know that it appeals as much to aesthetically to the outside the Traveller market. And one thing that the two Traveller campaigns that we have had has shown us is that we're not necessarily getting wider appeal at the moment, which is part of our issue. So I need to find vehicles that look cool enough to be worth, putting several weeks worth of work into. So it would just take, days to weeks instead of, months to do instead of a ship. But it's still, lots of things need to be considered when you're running a business. Alrighty. So it could, however, possibly be something we could look at with our new, actually I want to go in, not out, with our upcoming tribes idea, where you might be able to potentially look at Traveller stuff, but then licensing is a little bit difficult at the moment with my manufacturer, the way it's set up. And honestly, I don't really want to use it for the licensing stuff. Anyway, what are we doing right now? We're trying to create some interesting geometry here because this is going to be printing upside down. When we have pipes like this, we're not going to be able to get around like a complete support-free sort of situation. It will print reasonably well despite that. But basically, these pipes are our supports for this central section, okay? We're probably going to add some dials to these. I guess they're some kind of like pressure gauges or that sort of thing. So we're not quite finished detailing this yet. And I'm just kind of like adding little bits and pieces that are going to stick out, especially if you did this in resin, for example. Ianstead has quite a few vehicles and small craft already done. Yes, he does. And it could be possible, but working with Ian's stuff, it's like having an artist having done a sketch. And yes, it saves us time, but we thought we were probably going to be in the 2 to 3 day range converting his models to something that's 3D printable, and it's been taking us 5 to 6 days per model? Roughly a week, and that is for an external model. So if you're adding 28mm scale, then it's expected you're doing the interior. So although it is a slight head start, it's it's definitely better than modeling from scratch, but not by much in the general long-term scheme of things. And this is nothing against Ian's style or anything, but it is a little bit to do with the software package that he uses. It's not as compatible with Maya as we had hoped. And so a lot of the work that we do is sort of like almost rebuilding those models from scratch in Maya. Not quite, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. So it's not always as simple as it initially seems. Let's see. Talk for a bit, Alban. My throat is getting dry.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what I have to say, really, though.
Do we have questions or comments?
Yeah, not recently, though. Sorma has been talking about how he has been working on some local game store projects due to the returns on the MMF. And what was it? Oh yeah, Pulsifier. He said he's on his last print for the Beta Centauri. There was some special quips. It's been a long time coming.
So sorry about that whole thing. I thought for a second it was just because you're on the prototype version, mate. But it seems like you were on the right version. In the end, it was me who hadn't put it out correctly. So I'm wondering why these... Oh, I've gone at 0.5 on those ones. That's why. So hopefully I haven't deleted too many of these. Let's see, we can go back to these old extrusions and lower them, which is what I'm going to do now. Then this one was that extrusion there, this one was that extrusion there, so hopefully...
JTS commented that he understands your reasonable points about running a business, even though he's a customer and got into this because of Traveler.
Oh, again, this is definitely nothing. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, this would not be happening at all. So it's not a case of I'm being like dismissive of your role in things at all. That's not the case. It's just a case of the fact that we can't appeal to every single backer. We have to look at this is why we have those forms, right, where we can get the questionnaires out and see what people are interested in, because there has to be like a general consensus. Yes, we need more vehicles in 28mm scale. So really what I need to do is do a new survey where we get an idea, like on the Traveller Facebook group, of how many people would be interested in the vehicles in particular, because they are smaller. And then I can take that to Mark and say, hey, can you give us some visual material of the vehicles that we are allowed to use? Because whilst Ian has modeled a lot of stuff, it kind of has to be stuff that Ian's modeled and published in the T5 sort of thing. It's very blurry. Some of Ian's designs are actually just Ian's designs. And I'm not as educated in travel as to be able to tell straight away, oh, okay, this design is just Ian's design. And it's kind of like, it seems like what's official and what is semi-official is kind of very blurry in Traveller. Like Mark has adaptive fan designs before. So yeah, I think maybe one or two of our ships could be considered Traveller ships at this point, but we still need to do decked lands.
Pulsifier said, I think if you want to grow more, you need more content, stuff with people actually using the models with good gameplay. And then Shadowliger or Totally Glitch said would be good to showcase at a trade show.
Yeah, that's something that, you know, is becoming more relevant again. I know that Zorama has offered to take some of our models to some cons in the past, but then, you know, COVID hit, so any discussion of that sort of ended. But, you know, it's becoming relevant again now that there's a war on in the Ukraine and everyone's forgotten about COVID. But yeah, it certainly is changing things now. Lisa Lott's coming back to the office next week. She's been working from home because of the pandemic. So, you know, a couple of things are changing now, which might affect how we approach that sort of stuff. Now, the question is, should this handle be right here or should it be further back in? I think out here kind of makes sense, right? Mostly the handles are about, like, if you were getting to 0G. I'm definitely going to do a version of the corner which has handles there and there. But most sci-fi universes, you're just relying on the artificial gravity or mag boots or something anyway, right? About the Centauri, the thing is, I was using the prototype for everything, but made sure I was correct when I hit that error. So thanks again for resolving it. Well, I mean, it resolved it for everyone, so I'm happy to do that, buddy. But yeah, hopefully travel's going to go well with the Beowulf, which will be our next major release, all right? And that is going to determine, okay, is there a future in doing traveler ships, or should we be more focused on like the ship miniatures? Because the ship miniatures did a lot better than I thought they were going to do, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think we went in saying like, well, if we can get half as much as if we can get half as much done as what we would in a normal campaign, we'll be happy with those figures. And we got a lot more than that. We got about the same as our previous campaign. Well, almost the same. It must have been about the same because it was in euros, not US dollars. So we got 75,000 for the first one. We got 63,000 euros for the second. So it did very well. No, 0.05 Ben. Come on. Let's see. I've got to keep an eye on the time too. I've got to be dog sitting soon. So we're just adding this geometry. Like I said, it's going to look good. And right now, like, you can see some of these pipes are intersecting with the walls. We're not really worried about that anymore because of the way when we export these objects, as long as each component is manifold or complex, as it's sometimes called, that is to say it's sort of like airtight, they're going to netfab together really well. And whilst we are moving to 3MF slowly, we're going to be making STL versions so that we cover all the bases. But both Cura and Prusa Slicer can read 3MFs. It's just that Prusa Slicer also brings in the printer settings. So
I haven't tried Cura. Does it handle the same way? Or?
I've got no idea, and I also have no interest in finding out. So that I'll leave that one to the Cura people to tell me after the fact. It's been a mild annoyance for some people where they've had to simply what's it called? Essentially, just take out. They load up the scene and it switches out like the model of printer. So, for example, John's done 3MFs that are based on his Mini, right? So you will get like the Mini as the build plate, and you'd have to switch it back. So it will keep the print settings that were exported with it if you've exported it from Prusa Slicer. So I really want to get this finished before the hour is up because I want to test print this tonight and basically make a whole sort of corridor. We do have ideas to make double wide corridors. We're basically going to be supporting everything from the old style, but we're going to make it new and snazzy. I think the floors came out really, really well in the prints. So yeah, we're just going to focus on doing the top part tonight. But see how we've made it so it looks like it fits with the original style, and then we'll do a version with the pipes coming up from the floor instead. and you'll be able to mix and match those as you will. Although I guess it won't quite look like this with all of the... we can delete these now. The bits and bobs. I'm just going to delete these interior ones. So as you can kind of see, we have a back wall there, and the idea is that we just want to, in the end, copy this over so that there's two halves. I think here, if we take a little border, let's see, we want to offset this. Oh, that looks nice and ugly. Something like that. And then the trick here is to just, if we take, we've got the vertex snap on, if we take these vertexes and just snap them over, drag them there, we've got some symmetry back into that shape. And we're just going to add, again, some geometry at 0.05. So I need to start getting this finished so we can copy it over, because my goal for the session, we've got 15 minutes left, is to get the printable parts. So I can spend the last 15 minutes of my working day, sorry, my working at the office part of my day, essentially getting a print on the bed so I can get a nice 16 hours worth of printing or something in tonight.
We got some comments here.
Yes?
Paul's Fire said that he haven't printed the ship miniature yet, but he needs to get on it for content. And JTS said, for me the difference between T-Fire versus the new Mongoose game, that doesn't matter to him. For example, a Scout ship print is so iconic it's recognizable regardless of which edition to use one uses. And he's also there for the 28mm Beowulf free trader, as well as Paul's Fire.
I think, honestly, I'm expecting that the Beowulf is going to draw a profit for us, because it is, whilst it's both equally as iconic as the Type S, like the Type S is very distinctive in its shape, but it's not a very viable player ship. The Beowulf definitely is. There's plenty of room for cargo. It's, likely to be a starter ship for a lot of people. I mean, to be fair, the Scout is definitely a starter ship for some people, but it is also very, very small. It has what, it's got 3 tons of cargo.
Speaking of size, JTS said that the free trader will be my project for months. I'll have to figure out where the heck to keep it though.
Yeah, I mean, we have that issue. In fact, our beta's being painted. It's almost finished. It should be coming on Monday. I'm going to pick Lisa up with her computer and then go and pick up the beta Centauri. So we should have a painted model to show off in the next session. But it's also a case of like, and where are we going to put it? So the idea here would be to come... You still want some of this paneling on. I'm being a bit cautious with the paneling because... What?
After doing the whole... this is Paul's Fire.
Pulsifer.
After doing the whole beta Centauri in 0.15, I can say I'll do all the future ships at the recommended settings.
I see. So you mean to say that it's been a good print for you? I mean, yeah. I would say if you're on a sort of 0.15 step, 0.5 step, 0.05 step, rather, sorry, 50 micron step, as opposed to what, a 40 micron step. So the Ender series is a 40 micron, the Prusa series is a 50 micron step. Printer, you basically want to, on a Prusa, print it at 0.15, so 150 microns, or on a you could do it at 0.16 on a end of series, but a 0.12 would probably give the best results because you're not missing out on something. And then a lot of the smaller details, like these semiotics, do require a couple of print settings. Like if we print this, let's just move this out so you can see it a bit better. If we slice this, you should be able to see all of the details in those semiotics at the moment. That's the exact shape that we're looking for. But this is because in the print settings in the advanced, we've got the XY compensation set. So if we revert this to the standard settings, you'll see especially here that we're missing the side pieces of the semiotics. So it might not be a big killer, but you know, this is a sort of detail that's going to disappear. Not as much in this case because it's not based on layer height, but you get the drift. So, and basically those profiles that we were talking about that Zoroma has, that's essentially like you load up in here, like the print settings, you would pick the second dynasty one that is made and it would have these settings built in essentially. But in 3MF we can actually export it with the file. But again, you get the build plate too, so Albin is sad. Alright, so I'm just going to grab these front faces here. What's going to look good? So again, I'm trying not to come out too far from these pipes because again, they're going to be the supports, right? So we'll really only know tomorrow when I printed it all to see how it looks. 0.2 will work sometimes, it's just you're going to lose that detail. Let's see. .05, .05.
So we got some comment concerning the Starship economics in Traveler from Tamsin. The whole Starship economics on Traveler, maybe not Mongoose, is mucked up. There's no real way that any ship capable of more than jump 1 can turn a profit. And J1 ships have a job of breaking even unless they are very old and the mortgage is paid off.
I don't know about that. I mean, we were running.
Jim Jeffries.
What? Yeah, Tim Jeffries. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. To be fair, the last time we ran was on Cepheus, and that could be more simplified. So I'll shut my mouth up on that and nod, because I don't know about that. And we're about to be sued. I wouldn't think so. I'd just say, oh, I'm from Wollongong. It's like, oh, yeah, that's why. All right. So we probably want a bit more paneling on the side here, but I'm just about ready to call this as it is. So let's go 0.01, no, 0.05, 0.05. I may go back and add a couple more like bits and bobs. Might actually go in here. Let's see. Let's go -1. Just to create a more interesting shape. Yeah, I like that. And let's put a panel on there. So much of this is just like experimenting with shapes, right? But now, if we put our lighting on, this should look interesting. You can see that the shadows are casting lights in an interesting fashion. The only thing I really feel like we might need is some kind of like little knob on the end of this. So we could duplicate this, just go out here. Actually, we want to translate this, like maybe that far, and then go down, so that we don't have too far to overhang. And I'm just going to actually get rid of everything else here. I'm going to close this hole. And then essentially I'm just going to grab a bunch of these faces and just extrude straight down. And this could be ugly, it doesn't look like it's entirely correct, but you kind of get the idea, right? And if we just take this, duplicate it, move it down to the next one. We want this to match, let's put that on the wireframe, so we're looking to match this, and we just do this. Oh look, we've turned it just a tad. Let's move it down to the next one, and we just offset it this way.
A knurled knob, is that with like ribs, or I don't know how you say it in English, but you have like grip
a handle
surface?
I don't know.
It was a comment.
Well, I'm sure that could be correct. I am not an expert on knobs.
Oh, I think it's like a texture, gripping texture, I think.
Okay.
But were you a bit funny there? I didn't catch up on it first.
What, saying I'm not an expert in knobs? Well, Albin, in some English dialects, a knob refers to both a handle and something else. And knowledge thereof might insinuate that you are a woman of... Yeah, let's leave it there. I feel like we're getting a bit in the reeds here. So I'm just shoring up this mesh now, making sure it actually makes sense, so we can get ready to duplicate over the pieces. What was that you were screaming out?
Rumble.
Rumble.
Ready to rumble.
I was thinking of... Alright, let's see. So I think this should be in the Z. Nope. In the X. Alright, so we're just grabbing those two halves, mesh, combine. We're merging these vertexes, so now the trick to see that it works is if I double click on a polygon, it chooses all the polygons in the mesh. So that is now merged. And we can basically take these and duplicate them. And since all of them have pivot points in the same orientation, we can just move them over as we had before. So that should be perfectly mirrored now. I'm thinking that looks pretty cool. What do you guys think? We need another one of these. So I'm just going to move that over to there, and we should just be able to flip this 180, freeze those transformations. And what we'll do is we will take all of these and we will turn the knobs a bit. I thought you were going to snicker there.
Yeah, I did a micro snicker. I was reading at the same time and doing some modeling, so I was computed, or whatever you call it, overloaded. So there is some talk about legitimate salvage and other ways of making money in Traveler. And it's in quotation, so do with that what you want, I guess. And Mike Pound said he likes it, it looks good. I think it's concerning the console for the pipes.
Very good.
and now they retreated from the conversation. And go back to your walls.
Everyone has retreated from the conversation, it seems. So, yeah. I'm surprised we've had I'm glad to see that there's been so much involvement in the chat today. A lot of old fans have popped in, so I guess the hair calling on Discord was worth it. Hopefully not too many people are annoyed with me for that. And let's see. What I'm basically doing now is just unifying all of these pieces so that they have the same pivot point. And again, this is related to our export. So, oh shit, it's already 3 o'clock. So I'm just going to keep going because we're very close.
Keep on.
So I'm just going to create a new group with these and we'll call it GRP Engineering.
Didn't know you were into GRP.
I need to.
Engineering
to. No, not to corridor. Engineering thingamabob. Valves. These are probably not valves. I guess they're gauges. But anyway, so we've got the group there. We're going to move the pivot point of the group to the same
really
position.
Like how it looks though. Just put that in there.
Thank you. And actually, we need to move these pieces in as well. Where are they? Let's move them down. Lots of mess in here in this scene. This is not the way you should be modeling.
What is it that they say? Bless this mess?
Bless this mess, indeed.
I like that expression.
So basically, if we take this section now, there we are. That's the top section, sans the new piece. So technically, all we need to do is slot in these valves, or the things that are called valves that aren't valves, and we should have everything now. And the trick here is that we select all of these pieces.
Pressure relief valves is a suggestion.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, we're missing these pipes as well. Where are they?
They will be dearly missed.
Alright, so a nasty little trick, if you have a really long outliner, is you just create a new group, but they have to be outside of another group, and we've just used this group essentially to move these items down. So I'm gonna, oh shit, that was the wrong one. Where is the group gone? Oh, it was up there. Alright, so we're gonna grab these, I'm gonna move them into engineering valves there, so they appear in that group. Delete this unused group, and now if we select all of these objects, and again these are separate objects, and we're looking at the top half, this all looks good. It looks like we've got everything that we need to. We're just going to freeze transformations on it. Hopefully that applies to all the things. We're going to delete history, and we're going to export selected, not as a Maya binary, as I was doing earlier, but as an STL file in our work in progress. No, wait, we're in the right scene? Test prints, and then the Ben folder. And then we're going to call this engineering top something dark side. Engineering to corridor valves top. Like, this isn't going to be the final name, but we just want to get in the scene. So now we import this, and you can see this piece has come in like so, right? Had we exported this as a 3MF, every single one of those components would have been its own sort of thing. So if I rotate this up, and then we want to put it in the same orientation, because I have seams towards the back of the plate, so the seams will turn up on this side. And then we do have to auto repair some errors here with netfab. Fix through the netfab. Do you have the memory card ready to go?
I have the ship. Not the ship. What do you call it? Memory card. it's in the G code isn't as print, is it?
I haven't made it yet.
Sorry.
I just wanted to make sure you were ready.
I'm ready. Ready to receive.
Alright, so we're just waiting for NetFab on this one. And let's see, is there anything I don't want to print again in this? I think I probably don't need as many top sections. Well, this is taking a while. Did I crash it?
Oh no. Not one of those.
It did look like it was making progress for a second there.
God damn it.
We'll see. Pipe console as a name. Not a bad name. That makes some sense. Let's see. So this has taken forever. I'm considering just cancelling because the thing is, like, I think Prusa Slicer should be able to print it anyway. So I'm just gonna hit. Oh no, I think we've crashed it. No, it's all right. If I do slice now, let's see if it has any errors. Come on. I mean, that looks good. And you can kind of see here that through making those angles right, we have very few bridges and overhangs. All of these overhangs, it's going to be able to do fine. So I'm going to be cheeky here and just let Prusa Slicer handle it for now. What do we not want? Okay, so we've got some bottoms, bases there. We need a base for this one. And we have a top there. Do we only have one top? It feels like we need... This is actually looking pretty good. I'm thinking we don't need another intersection. Let's see. I want to see how many hours this is going to take. So I want this to be finished by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. This says it's going to take 16 hours. That is perfect.
I like that plate.
So 87 grams, almost 88 grams worth for all of this. And I guess we'll be seeing on the Discord what the results are like. So I'm going to hit export now. We're going to save this to our general prints folder.
Yay.
And Alvin's going to go and take it into the other room and shoot it. Not really. So just to summarize, we have completed this piece of machinery here. Essentially, what I've got on the print bed at the moment is to make these pieces for the top half. But we should be able to essentially just mirror this entire section by the time we're finished. Oh, I got to double check I turned ironing off.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, it's off now. It's okay. It's all right. Ready to go. So Alvin's going to go off. I'm going to turn off the ye olde tiles. And we're going to put on the fancy lights. And then we're going to see you guys next week. All right, that's it for us. Thanks for joining us, guys. Nice to see some old faces turning up again. Have a great week, and we'll be with you.